You're on.
Oldest family, family, of course, my apology for, requesting the time to be, you know, placed up, when I say up, I'm just saying directly on time.
Uh-huh.
And we still running a 15 minutes or so late. And of course, I'm not going to take the time now to explain to you, but it's something that very, very essential that I have to explain to you uh, before we conclude this portion here. Uh, as again, when you experience something, you have a firsthand kind of bird's eye view or, contact with, involved in a particular thing, as opposed to when you hear something that someone tell you that you're not involved in and you're trying to, you know, follow what they are trying to explain to you and to actually see it the way they see it, very, very difficult to do. And uh, I'm going to attempt to do just that in the time that we have left. I had a meeting today and I sat firsthand and I experienced something that neither one of you really, really on this line want to experience. Um, the pain of concern, the pain of design, hope, change, you know, all of those things is what I went through. But it wasn't anything physical. It was only in my conscious way,
Okay.
viewing things. It didn't bother me in the physical like that because I understood before I went into the meeting, you know, it's like we've been talking about um, the end result, whatever the result, you need to take yourself out of that.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right.
Hmm.
So that's exactly how I went in. And it really, um, was something to behold. And I'm saying that because we're not going to have a lot of time today due to traditions, okay? I use that word,
Right.
Yes.
due
Right.
to tradition. And I want to explain something from the scriptures because we continue to use the scriptures, but we have faith in the scriptures, but we have never understood the scriptures. Can you
Right.
imagine putting your faith in anything
Right.
that you
Right.
don't have an understanding of?
Right.
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 But you believe that you do. And since your belief, cause you what? To display an action. This is why that brother was talking about what dualism does.
Right.
It promotes division between beliefs and action.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And I really, really, and I know some of you can really feel what I'm talking about. And I'm
Okay.
going to
That's
give
it.
an example of that. Now, how many of us have read Jeremiah 51:19? Itai, could you turn to that for me?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And I'm going to use this scripture to explain what I mean by beliefs and action.
Right.
You've always heard it be said you can make your mouth say anything.
Yes.
Absolutely not sick. Okay.
And, you know, I had this revelation about what we must do for Yom Kippur.
Hmm.
And I wrote it out and I'm gonna send it to all you all, but
Okay.
I I want you to hold on to it. I want you to just read it over the weekend.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
And so when we come back on, and I want us to come back on Mosai Shabbat.
Okay.
You know, come back on Mosai Shabbat. You know, because, but it's gonna have to be a little later for me, which be good for y'all, because then it's like instead of 5:30, maybe 12:30 or 12 o'clock, something like that, y'all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Okay.
Nasik,
Yes.
just call me and we'll coordinate it. All right.
All right, because this is very, very significant. What to do. We look at Jeremiah 51:19. Eitai, could you read what it says?
Certainly. Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name.
I want us to think about that. I want us to think about that. You know, it said, Jacob is not like them. Okay? And he is the former of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Now, the Lord, if the Lord of hosts is his name. Now, that's how that reads. Now, I want to show y'all something. In the Schofield Reference Bible, now most of us had these definitions and meanings. Hold on 1 minute, Eitai, put it on pause for me here.
Got you.
So we was talking about Jeremiah 51:19, and most of us in the early days had the Schofield Reference Bible, the 1967 edition.
Okay.
Well, we know they discontinued that, but then they went back and said, "Oh, we're going to what? Revive the 67 edition." And most of us thought we got the 67 edition. They revived it, and it was pretty much the same. It was not true.
Right.
And I want what I have. It's supposed to be the 67 edition. But here's what it says here. I want to read this to you. Jeremiah 51:19. It says, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the, and then right in front of the word the they got this reference, in. And when you look at the reference, you see what the in represent, but they what? Switched it from that, and here's what they say. It said the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the one who formed all things.
Mm-hmm.
The one who formed all things.
Yes. Yes.
But
yes.
now not the former of all things.
Right. Right. Nasik.
Now listen to the word form. The word form and the word formed or former, we get the word F-O-R-M, form, which is saying, and what? And who was created and formed in the likeness of God.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following me now?
Okay. Yes.
Genesis say, that he formed man from the what? Dust of the earth.
That's right.
So follow this word form now. Now we're going to go to the Hebrew. Okay. We're going to go to the Hebrew, and the word in Hebrew is 33:35, and then 33:34 is the root. Now, what we bringing out here is that if you really, really are not one that study,
right,
and not one that is in the pursuit of wholeness, you just lost. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You just lost.
Yes.
You just lost. So we look at the word here, 33:35, and 33:35. Now I have the Hebrew Greek Key Study Bible, it has a, lexical aid. So I usually try to look at the lexical aid and compare it to what they actually translate things to mean.
Yeah.
Within the dictionary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now I'm gonna go to the lexical aid first, and then we'll go to the dictionary. The lexical aid 3335, and what they do, the root 3334, they don't give you the root in the lexical aid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They only give you the root when you look into the dictionary. Now, this is not all cases, but with certain words, and
That's correct.
so you can understand what's happening.
I see where you're going.
Okay. We read 3335, Yatsar. It says this is probably identical with 3334, but they don't give you 3334.
Mm-hmm.
It said it means to form, to fashion, to devise, to frame, to produce, to create, to be formed or fashioned, to exist, to be pristine. You gotta put it on hold for a moment.
Gotcha.
Okay, so as I mentioned, the root being 3334, they don't give you that in the lexical aid. So I kind of gave you the meaning that they give us. They say the last one was to be predestined in its okay. It said form is a potter or a creator. You hear what it says? Form is a potter or a creator.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, hold on now. Remember we said they changed it from the former of all things.
Right.
Right.
One who formed all things.
All things. Right. I see where you're going. I see. Okay.
Now, let's go to the dictionary. And the Strong Dictionary say 3335, Yatsa, probably identical with 3334, through the squeezing into shape.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it says compare 3331, to mold into a form, especially as a potter. Figuratively, to determine, i.e. from i.e. form, F-O-R-M, a resolution.
Right.
And remember that we were talking about dissolution.
Resolution, yes.
Right.
Yes.
You gotta follow what the ancestors really has done with this language. That if you don't study, like I say, you just you're completely lost. It ain't got nothing to do with Hebrew or English.
Right.
Yeah.
We can convince ourselves that things are so accurate in the Hebrew and this and that. Now, let me go to the English dictionary. I want to give you the definition in the English dictionary.
Go ahead, Nasik.
The English dictionary, it's a former. It says coming before in time, or relating to, or occurring in the past. And that's exactly how all of us basically saw what that scripture meant.
Okay. Yeah.
Then it goes on to say, proceeding in place or arrangement, foregoing. Then it says, first mention or in order of two things mentioned or understood, having been previously, on time. Now, All of these definitions now that we're dealing with, and then we stop and ask ourselves, you know, how these manipulation has occurred through
Right.
language, and how it has really, really determined what it is that you want an individual to do and how you want him to do it and what he should and what he should. All this is language now.
Hey, programming, Nasik, programming.
Now, we're going to, absolutely, Cal. Then we're going to go over to the word form, just the word form itself. Now, what it says, form, in the English dictionary, to shape and structure, until the shape and structure of something as distinguished from its material. Let me read that again. The shape and structure of something as distinguished from its material. B, a body as a person, especially in its external appearance, or as distinguished from the F-A-C-E, face, figure. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Now, I'm going to go to biocentrism, and I'm going to read a statement, and I'm going to tie it to the scriptures. Now, about language again. We read in the scriptures where it states that it was not good for man to be alone, right?
Right.
And so we looked the word up in Hebrew, and the word was bod. Then it's bod means like apart. Okay? And then when we go to the biocentrism, I went to page 37 about language, and I just want to show you something, how all of this connects up. It says, let us suffice to say that any overarching unity of consciousness is not just difficult or impossible to prove. Now, that don't mean unity of consciousness cannot exist. It just means it's difficult or impossible to prove, but is fundamentally incompatible with dualistic language.
Right.
Which adds an additional burden of making it difficult to grasp with logic alone. Now, hear the word alone now.
Yes.
Hear the word alone. Say with logic alone. Now, when we go back to the Hebrew and we look at the word alone, not good for man to be alone, right? And we look at the Hebrew word bod. Eitai, could you put that up for us? That's 905.
Nasik, you know what's funny? It's not even translating that in the online dictionary.
Wow.
It's got 1961.
Now, 1961 means be. That's what the word be is, like to be. You know, the verb form to be. That's what they translated in 1961 is be.
They don't have anything for alone.
Now, okay, you can see the profundity of what's going on here. Now, let me read you 905. Hold your point. Bear with me here. 905.
Hold on. Let me get it. It has no reference number to alone on concordance.
Wow. Now I'm going to read to you.
And Nasik, you said it's H905?
No, I just said the number 905, not H, 905.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, I do have bod up here.
Okay, that's the word. Bod, 905. Read what it says, Eitai. It's from 909.
This is profound because Akalaya, when he made his comment yesterday, he really emphasized this, and I'll read it. It's 905 from 909.
Right.
Properly separation by
Right.
implication, a part of the body, branch of the tree, bar for carrying, figuratively, chief of a city, meaning apart, only, besides, alone, apart, again, bar, besides, branch, by self, of each alike, except only part, staff, strength.
Okay. Now go to 909.
909. Badad, a primitive root, to divide.
To what? To divide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, hold right there. Hold right there. To divide. Now I'm going to go back to the very opening statement of the solution for divine marriage that will prevent divorce/release.
Right.
And I quote something from page 23 in Resurrection from Judgments to Post Judgment. I may have said IOL, but it's Judgment to Post Judgment.
Okay.
Okay, 23, and it's taken from the book, The Dial of Physics by Fritjof Capra,
Right.
on page 325 and 326. Now, listen to what he says here. Now, you got to listen to the language. You're going to really hear something here. It says, the major problems of our time cannot be understood in isolation. I stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Eitai, you just read the word alone means to what? Separate, right?
Right.
So now, if everything is separated and divided,
Yes.
how are we going to agree upon anything?
Yes. Yes.
Impossible.
Brethren, family, come on, Eitai.
You had mentioned this word resolution as well.
Right.
And it means, now again, this is late 14th century.
Okay, right.
A breaking into parts.
Mm-hmm.
A breaking into parts. This is from this word former. Yatsar.
Right.
Yatsar, former. A breaking
Right.
into parts.
Right.
Old French resolution.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely, Eitai.
It says process. See, this is it. A process of reducing things into simpler form.
Right.
To resolve, to loosen the bond.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when we look at, you know, how the ancestors has involved, you know, this whole, what we call ancient wisdom, you know, we call it ancient divinity, and, you know, all these terms, you really, really see. And if you don't get, you know, if you don't marry that relationship, that union,
Right. Yes.
if you don't come into that, you just are not going to understand what's going on.
Absolutely.
Nasik, also in the reference that you gave us, Jeremiah 51 and 19, if you continue to read down to verse 23, it says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations.
Right.
With thee will I destroy the kingdom. So it's right within the context of this word. They continue this thought of this resolution, breaking into pieces. Goes on
Right.
to say,
Yes.
with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. Here we go, verse 22nd. With thee also will I break in pieces man
There you
and
And
woman.
woman.
go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Yes.
There,
There you
I
go.
remember now,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
What scripture was that, please?
Jeremiah 51, 19, really through 23. Really through 23. So now see, this is just perfect. Go
Yes.
ahead, brother.
Yes.
This is just,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes.
my meeting today, I'm in, hold on again.
Okay.
Okay. So, I heard everything Dr. Lai said. I'm not going to address that in any kind of way, but I do want to say something about it at another time. Because again, I want to go back to, and I want to go back to, you know, how all of this ties into something very profound that the language traps you in.
Right.
And Abba Ben Ami, you know, was real good with Hebrew, you know, and he do not ever say that, you know, he was good in English. So Samaniel used to be the one that kind of like, you know, directs him in terms of the English. But this is the point. This is the point. Here's the point here. I want to go back to it. Says this language, you know, of duality is incompatible, and it's being incompatible, it's at another burden of making it difficult to grasp with logic alone. So we looked at this word alone. It means to separate. So then we started off with the major problems of the time saying, cannot be understood in isolation. So whether it's Hebrew or English, see, when you go to the Hebrew, you know, you get into the third person masculine singular.
That's right.
Well, that's a separation from the feminine.
Right.
You know, we got to understand, you know,
Right.
but I just want to make, here's the point I want to make. The point I want to make is this here. Why is this so? Language was created to work exclusively through symbolism and to divide nature into parts and action. Now let's go back to the document. We go here now, we're going to read this whole thing so that we can see. Now, Abba Ben Ami, he always said that he spoke, you know, and he taught in Hebrew thought, even though he was using English. But I'm going to show you the difficulty of what we're talking about here. And everybody is not able to you know, move back and forth conceptually, consciously, what's going on.
Right.
That's a master of masters being able to do that.
That's
And here's what he said. The major problems of our time cannot be understood in isolation, separation, or division. They are systemic problems, interconnected and interdependent. Now, listen now. The new paradigm that is now emerging can be described in various ways. It can be called a holistic worldview. I don't care what you're speaking in, if it ain't holistic,
Yes.
you got the same problem. I don't care what you call it.
right.
Yes.
In the world as an integrated whole rather than a disassociated collection of parts. It can also be called an ecological view if the term ecological is used in a much broader and deeper sense than it is commonly used. The broader and deeper sense of ecological is known as deep ecology. Now, you got deep ecology.
Right.
Now, deep ecology is holistic.
Yes.
Shallow ecology is what?
Dualistic.
Dualistic.
Divisive.
You got to hear me now. Shallow ecology is anthropocentric. It views human as above or outside of nature, disconnected from nature, as the source of all value, and ascribes only use value to nature. So we can understand how your nature and my nature is what initially or organically was what? Holistic.
Correct.
So if it was holistic, you can understand if they doing it to the physical earth, they must be doing the same thing to you because
Yes.
could do it.
Yes.
Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Dang.
Now let's go back and tie that into Jacob is what? He's not like them.
Right.
He is the form of all things.
Got you, Nasik.
He is the form of all things. He is the what? Inheritor and creator of all things.
That's right.
You are the beginning of everything. Going on, shallow ecology. It says, deep ecology does not separate humans from the natural environment, nor does it separate anything else from it. Now, tell me everybody on the planet is what? Shallow ecology.
Yes.
Now, when you think about shallow ecology, you got to think about consciousness now. And I'm going to show you how it all connects up so we'll really see. Ultimately, such deep ecological awareness is spiritual awareness. When the concept of the human spirit is understood as the mode of consciousness, you hear me? The human spirit is the mode of consciousness.
Yes.
The individual feels connected to the cosmos as a whole. It becomes clear that ecological awareness is spiritual in its deepest essence.
Yes.
And it is then not surprising that the new vision of reality is in harmony with the vision of spiritual tradition. Now, let's think for a moment here about consciousness. Consciousness, deep ecology, and shallow ecology. Remember when we mentioned yesterday about the word perception had become obsolete? And the definition for perception, their initial word was consciousness, but it had become obsolete. And I asked the question, how can consciousness become obsolete and not involved? And it is the what? The essence of all things.
Right.
Now, okay.
Nasik,
We're gonna go ahead, Eitai.
I wanted to show you something real quick and show the family something regarding what you said, because this is right in line where it talks about the divorce, the bill of divorce was given because of the hardness of the heart, right?
Right.
I just want to show you this word and to let you know that this has a direct connection with what you're talking about relative to spiritual consciousness and perception. It is it's this word, G4641.
Strong's G 4641, sclerocardia. Sclerocardia.
That word. And it's hardness of the heart. But look, it says it's a compound of two feminine words. Two feminine words. And it says, especially destitution of spiritual perception. Destitution of spiritual perception. That goes directly with what you're talking about right now with consciousness. Consciousness.
That's so on the money. You see, if your consciousness is not rooted in deep ecology or wholeness,
Right.
Yes.
You are destitute of understanding anything.
That's correct.
Yes.
You are in a shallow ecology. That's the
Yes.
what? Consciousness of duality.
That's right.
Mhm.
And in that consciousness, we both talking about consciousness, but we ain't talking about the same thing.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how much Hebrew you speak and
That's
how
Right.
much English I speak.
Right.
This is really, really something for us to what? Think about today, you know, in terms of what we are faced with, trying to get, you know what I'm saying, out of the predicament that we're in
correct.
or have been in, and how do we help others out?
Right.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, in that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to relate this to shallow ecology. You're dualistic.
Right.
And when you are dualistic and shallow ecology, and you what? Look at duality from the map of consciousness, we're going to find something real interesting. Okay, we go to the map of consciousness.
Let me try to bring that up, Nasik. I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to try to bring it up on the screen. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
All right.
So when we looked at the Genesis, I think it was the second chapter, verse 25, and it said, the man and his wife, you understand, was naked and it was not ashamed. Now we got to keep in mind what's happening here. This is a devolution, a descent and fall from wholeness and unity and one singularity into physicality, into the false simulated mind matrix of physicality. And in this here realm of devolution, we find, we still have this spark, Eitai referring to being the genitalia of the male and female. We clear about that. But when we look at the realm of consciousness, and we ain't talking about consciousness in terms of you picking up your leg and all that. I'm talking about wholeness and energetically and spiritually.
Right.
So look at it from that point, you say, not ashamed, and you see the word shame, the meaning of it. Then you look to your left, you find what? Being hateful.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
To your under the God concept is what? Despising.
Right.
Right. Right.
If you look at the definition of the word, not ashamed, it's going to say despising. It's going to say those things.
I see.
Hebrew.
And then it's the word elimination.
Right.
That's
right.
That's the certificate of the bill of divorcement.
Absolutely. So you can see, you begin to see things on a much broader level.
Yes.
Now the realm that we talking on today now, who can we talk with about this?
Right.
Now see, King.
This is showing you about quote unquote spirituality, because spirituality you feel connected to the cosmos. You ain't separate from it.
Right. Yes.
And when you connected to the cosmos, everything opens up to you.
Right.
No question.
So I wanted to, as an introduction back into our document, that we put together, the solution of divine marriage that will prevent divorce. We got to see this totally on a whole nother, another level. We want to pick up with the rest of our time where we left off with Hosea, the second chapter, verses 1 and 2. And that was the conclusion, of the necessity of a new relationship, covenant based upon better promises. Okay? Because now the separation has occurred, and now without us understanding the profundity of the separation and how and what the separation really is all about, how do we get, out of the predicament? So Hosea said, say unto your brethren, I mean, and to your sister Ruhamah, Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife.
Mm.
Neither am I her husband. That's the bill of divorce, right?
Right there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what? The physical writing of a bill of divorce has nothing to do with one being what? Separated or divorced.
That's correct.
You hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
You can be together and have been together 20 years and still was never, you understand, in an organic, holistic relationship.
Right. You never were. You never were united. You never were together.
That's my thought. That's my point.
Right.
We gotta really hear where we've been gone, family.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Let us here, therefore, put away her whoredom out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Then we say the separation of light from darkness, because now we got to give some understanding about what's actually taking place. That because if you talk about a husband and a wife like that,
Right.
you done actually miss the whole concept of the solution
Yes.
to the relationship.
Yes. Yes. Come on, Nasik.
But again, now you see we're using dualistic language and holistic language, trying to what? Come to understand it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what Abba was doing when he talked about shallow ecology and deep ecology. He was moving back and forth between what? Duality and wholeness.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
But everybody can't do that.
That's right.
Mm-mm. No.
Continue on. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is on the separation of light from darkness. And the earth was without form. That word is form.
Right. Right.
And void. Form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the dark. Now, you know, you would ask the question, well, what was wrong with darkness? That it was what? It was bad, or it wasn't sufficient, but light was.
Right.
Right.
You got to ask this question now when you begin to talk about what we're reading here, and I know what we've been taught, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
You know, this challenges what we've been taught.
Yes.
Going on, it said, as we review the creation of the heavens and the earth, we have access. We have to access what did actually occur within the allegorical elements. Allegorical elements, it said the heaven above, higher, greater consciousness, and the earth below, lesser consciousness. Thus, these symbols represent light and darkness as day and night. This is where we get the axiom from, as above, so below. Where attention goes, energy flow. We must review this creation concept of Genesis 1:1-4 to understand the above narrative of Hosea 2 verses 1-2 concerning, or Hosea 2:1-2 as not being a husband and a wife.
Right.
Phrase of Genesis 2:18 is not good, quote, it's not good for man to be alone or / exist divided from wholeness.
Right.
Now, we got to understand, it's not good for him. It ain't had nothing to do with no woman like that.
Right.
Right.
Woman or man being separated or existing in duality as opposed to in wholeness.
Yes.
Are you following me now?
Right.
Yes.
This dividing, separating the light from the darkness is simply referring to consciousness of dark energy, dark matter, or neuromelanin, the source of all life, and man cannot survive divided or separated
That's right.
from. So now, follow this now. This is why new relationships are so very trying and so difficult and continues to fail. Well, it's not a new relationship in terms of you just met a sister. That is new in the sense of it's new in respect to the original or the holistic or organic, you understand, relationship. This is what makes it new.
Right.
You understand? You know, in these physical relationships, all people tend to disagree, you know, in terms of how they perceive the relationship faring, having everything to do with how long y'all courted, how long you know one another.
Right.
Because it's all about getting to know one another, but that's just a term that we use.
Right.
So you ain't gonna never get to know nobody, you know, in duality.
Okay. Right.
How you gonna know somebody in duality?
Because now see, how can you love somebody outside yourself when you don't even know yourself within?
That's my point. That's my point. So you really never get to know one another, and so we blame this cycle of time that we broke the laws and we had sex before we got married, and that's the problem. We didn't get to know one another. Oh, that ain't the problem.
No.
That is not the problem. Let's go back to what we said the problem is. So the major problem at the time cannot be understood in what? Isolation.
Right.
Got to keep that before. Okay, so we go on, we say. We also see a strong warning of a double-minded approach to such a serious relationship. Whoredom was used to characterize the backsliding of Israel. Example, the energy elements can be anything from man and woman to belief and action. All of that's still backsliding. You believe this, action are different.
Yes.
You moving back and forth between. But when we think of backsliding, we talk about Israel or what? Always what? Today with God and tomorrow with Satan. That's how we see backslide.
Right.
Continue on. There's the idea that Eve was created. This is a quote from Abba Ben-Ami. There's the idea that Eve was created from an organic part of man, means that she is eternally connected to him. That's a question. Now, one might ask, how is she internally connected to him? That's the question. He said, are we reminded, or better yet warned, that there can be no survival of one at the expense of the other? Now we better understand why one cannot survive at the expense of the other, because what? They are what? They was never supposed to be separated. They was united. So if you destroy one, you've destroyed, the whole.
Right.
And so now
permanently connected. Permanent connection.
Right.
Permanent connection.
Right.
As one.
If it was a permanent connection, you know what I'm saying, and they was eternally connected, that was permanent, how can you what? Survive backsliding between what? The duality and the wholeness.
Right.
There ain't no permanent anything in there.
Right.
Always gonna be transit, right?
Yes.
And that's what we've been looking at. Adam and Eve have to be seen from an allegorical, metaphorical perspective.
Yeah.
In respect to their eternal connection as an organic part of each other. Within the organic wholeness or holistic existence and their devolution, descent, and fall into dualism, they were figuratively, energetically destroyed as the concept of consciousness. For you to understand and then accept that the problem with what we now define as divine marriage is your perception of yourself. We must clearly understand the scientific engineering perception of energy. Social engineering of energy is the knowledge of how to invert your perception. It is like turning your inside outward and your outward skin inward. This was a complete reversal.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we presently look at everything in nature, from our outward inward and inward outward, negative to positive and positive to negative, evil to good and good to evil. Yet at the same time, do not believe no such inversion has happened.
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
Continuing on, Habakkuk, first chapter, verse 5. Behold, ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your day, which ye will not believe, though it be told to you. Now, here we are, working a work, and, and trying to what? Convey it, but it's what? It's falling on deaf ears.
Mm-hmm.
It says, the writer of the allegorical narrative speaks to a sphere of time or social existence, such as the nature of consciousness / mind, that was inverted to the extent that it would not be recognizable. Now, this work that's being worked, it won't even be recognized. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Bible speaks of the time as day. He say, I work a work in your day. He speaks to a time as day that it would not be believed, which is the sphere of social ruling with a mind / consciousness of a reign of influence or reflection referred to as light or the intelligence of Yah God. Let us be mindful of. The adversary, by the application of scientific social engineering, creates inverted energy. This is energy turned to a contrary direction, changed from what the normal order. The present social culture system are all part of the simulated false mind matrix of scientific social engineering of inverted energy that is changed from the normal order. So now when that occurs, we got to understand, here the writer called this time cycle a day. And if we're looking at day, as a particular day, or we're looking at, understand what the concept of day represents in the allegorical realm, we're talking about consciousness.
Right.
That has been inverted to be the light, and that which was really what, we should have been what? Utilizing as the higher consciousness has been reversed to be in the lower consciousness.
Right.
So you follow what I'm saying?
Got it.
Okay.
See, the whole thing, the greater light and the lesser light. Now, you got to go back to what was referred to as the greater light in the literal translation was the sun. So that's what gives light on the physical plane. But when you start talking beyond the physical plane, it ain't what gives what? The consciousness that you need. What you would call dark matter, dark energy is what gives you that consciousness.
That's
right. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the consciousness of consciousness. And so when we look at this, from the, higher realm, of the greater light and the lesser light, we see it having everything to do with the intelligence of Yah. But the intelligence of Yah, we got to understand that, all that's been inverted. So when we say Yah, we talk about something really has nothing to do with Yah or wholeness or, singularity and oneness and that. That ain't what we're talking about, in the world of physicality. Are you following what I'm saying, fam?
Got you. Got you.
Okay.
So we've covered quite a bit in a short time. And again, I want to be as thorough as we can be as we continue to go forward with this. We got some more, family, so we're gonna stop here, and digest everything that has been said, and let's be ready to go, say at 12 o'clock y'all's time tomorrow, okay?
Excellent.
So
12 o'clock tomorrow y'all's time.